So today I'm hoping to have a very interactive time with people. And actually, I know that this live stream starts echoing back at me in just a moment here. So I'm going to mute the tab. All right. Welcome to the Alternative Investing Club. Today is November 1st, 2024, and we are going to be talking about using AI in evaluating real estate investments. Now, one of the reasons why I'm hoping this will be a really interactive session is because, first of all, I know we have AI experts in this audience. There are Intel people here that really know this topic well. And for me, my background at Intel was I actually did work with the OpenVINO project for quite some time, 6 years or so. And so I know a little bit there, but it's not exactly as though you can take that experience that might be more software based and theoretical and move it over to a hands-on application of how do I actually use AI in order to make my business better or to automate processes for my investors or to automate my due diligence or automate my sales pipeline, whatever it happens to be. So I recently made the decision that I'm going to really dive into this myself. Gives me something that I kind of enjoy doing from a geek perspective. But the idea of how do I grow my business with AI? And so I'm going to take these techniques and I'm going to start dog fooding them in my own commercial real estate business. And I'm hoping that I will be able to learn from you guys, and you guys will just stop me in the middle of whatever I'm doing, and you know give suggestions. First of all, the two announcements we always have at the beginning is, of course, that the Alternative Investing Club has a fund. And the fund is there so that we can get into, as a group, institutional class investments that might have higher minimums, like $100,000 or $200,000. But for the club, you can get into it for 25,000. So we are about ready to pull the trigger on our first investment. Still, I'm waiting for a wire to come in before we do that. But all the legal paperwork is all squared away, and we just need to send the wire. So we're about ready to make that, and then I'll start reporting on it on a fairly regular basis. The next is we have our oil and gas working interest fund. This I thought was going to be closed out by this week, but it's always the hardest to get the last 20% of people to put their papers in and wire. So we're about 3/4 of the way full on this. And I have no doubt that it's going to close, but there is time to come in if you're still interested in it. And I know quite a few of you are still working on the paperwork and the wires. So that's available if you're interested. Before we go on, actually, let's just go on. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to line up a couple of the popular LLMs that are out there. And we're going to do side-by-side comparisons, seeing how well they handle accuracy, pull real-time data, how well they format their data. And trust me, I know there's a lot of ways that I can improve what I'm doing here. There are ways that we could really dial this in so it becomes a smooth flowing machine. Or on the other hand, if you don't want it to be, and I'll talk a little bit about this, you can design it to be interactive so that maybe instead of being like a microservice architecture where you have a JSON object coming into your GPT and your GPT doing some processing and spitting a JSON object out, maybe you want it to be an interactive session so that your analyst can sit down and be guided through, what are the steps of due diligence and have a document produced at the end. But first of all, I started off just by going to Gemini, Claude, Perplexity, ChatGPT, Grok. I did put Midjourney here, although Midjourney obviously doesn't, answer questions. It generates images mainly. But the first thing I asked each of these LLMs is generate a picture of yourself. The notable exception here was Perplexity, which is probably my favorite AI tool right now. But it's not able to generate images, so ChatGPT got to generate Perplexity's image. So here we have Gemini, Claude, Perplexity. Grok came up with an interesting one. I gave the exact same prompt to all of them. I just said generate a picture of, and then I gave the name of the LLM. ChatGPT, and this is Midjourney's picture of itself. So these are the 6 that we're mainly going to use in this analysis. Before I get started, I want people to throw into the chat. Oh, thank you, Mahesh. That is the correct URL for Acquira. LLM, good question. LLM means large language model, and it's basically the amalgamation of data, or what you could call a neural network. It's a series of weights that is refined to the point where you can put in arbitrary inputs in the case of these LLMs, and it will generate textual responses back, or graphics, or depending on if it's multimodal, whatever the output or input happens to be. So LLM is kind of the computer science term for a GPT. I know there's a difference there. All right. So, if there are any other questions, feel free to put them in the chat. But what I would like you to do right now in the chat is just imagine what's the top thing, or top one or two things that you would want to automate, in your life with artificial intelligence. And I really want you to be creative. Think of a problem that something routine that you do all the time. For instance, I upload videos to YouTube of these sessions. It's a pain. Sometimes I get 3 or 4 weeks behind, and then I do them all at once. It's really something I should automate better. So go ahead and put in the chat something you would automate. Washing the dishes. I'm looking forward to that. Maybe with the Tesla robots. What are they called? Optimus. Stock trading. Funny enough, in I think 3 weeks, we're going to be talking about automated stock trading with AI through the IRA club. Reading emails, paying the bills. Yep. Driving tasks. I just got a new Honda Odyssey because our previous one was smashed. And honestly, I'm really annoyed at all the smart features. It beeps at me and I do not know why it's beeping. Yeah, the IRA club is a specific club that helps people with their self-directed IRAs. They're going to be coming in and speaking to us in, I think it's 3 weeks from now. Finding the path of progress. That's good. I like it. Pathfinding's a lot of what I do with AI. All right, keep putting them in there. I want to read through them just to know what you would use them for. Some of the principles of prompt design, and I'm going to go on next to actually talk to you about some of the unique quick tips that I can give you in prompt design. But just overall, a large language model will give out what you put into it. So if you have a one sentence kind of vague description of what you want, it's going to give you kind of a generic answer coming out. If you keep your prompts very precise, if you keep them very clear, if you keep them specific, and then you give them, think of it almost like an intern where you're writing out instructions step by step. And these instructions can actually be very long and very detailed, almost like you're giving an intern a one-pager of what they need to do. Running what-if scenarios. I like that. We're going to be talking about that, actually. I even pre-opened up the site, one of the sites that I use for doing that. So yeah, expect to babysit it. That is true. Every time you have a pipeline of artificial intelligence, you have to insert points at which you have people actually giving it a spot check, make sure it's actually generating correct and consistent results. So these are all areas that you should keep in mind when forming your Chat GPT or your other types of prompts. Next, one of the things that I initially ran into, being a programming type, is that most people had created their GPTs, or their prompting models, to be fairly interactive. You might have a GPT, like for instance, down here, a GPT that does a tenant demographic analyst. And you give it a role, you give it a goal, you tell it exactly how you want the structure of your analysis to take place, and then give it some additional structures on prioritization, clarity, etc. So you might have something like that, but it's designed where a person needs to sit in front of it and interact with it and go back and forth. And a lot of times, as a software guy who likes to automate processes, that's not what I want at all. I want to have a GPT that talks to a machine. And so, just to give you a little bit of the differences between GPTs that are designed to interact with people versus machines, the biggest point here is that the GPT that works with machines needs to be single purpose. It needs to have a defined set of inputs, a defined set of outputs, like a software function. It needs to have, and even though it may be somewhat of a black box in terms of how it's implemented, um, instead of getting English out one end, you might want to emit a JSON object or a CSV file or some other file that's machine readable. If you're designing it to interact with people, let's say you have a big due diligence document. Here's the due diligence document that I go through for the fund, for instance. And it's got a whole series of questions here that need to be answered, and you need to create a checklist for whatever it is you're evaluating. You could design a GPT that takes this document and interactively walks you through it and allows you to enter in the answers. And then at the very end, it may generate a spreadsheet checklist for you. So the inputs and the outputs are very configurable, and you need to keep the end use in mind when you're designing it. So next. All right, starting to look more real estate investment analysis. I bring this picture up over and over almost every talk that I do. And these are the 5 pillars of risk when evaluating a commercial real estate or any sort of real estate deal, really. The number 1 risk is always the people. Number 2 is the market. Number 3 is, and these 2 are 2 that you as an investor can't change, or even as the sponsor, you can't change. Well, you can change the people, I suppose. The business plan, this is what the LPs need to evaluate and understand if it's a plan they buy into. Then the 4th risk is the regulators. Are you in an environment where the rules of your investment might suddenly change? It's never fun to have a 5-year laid out predicted cash flow scenario, and then suddenly the laws change in year 3 and your plan is out the window. And then, of course, finally, the property. So how can we look at generating artifacts or documents that will leave a paper trail that will allow us to do our due diligence more efficiently? So what are some of the types of documents that AI can produce for me? Well, you could create an executive summary, property descriptions. I know brokers right now, commercial real estate brokers that are starting to incorporate AI, and they're building, their property descriptions just by entering in all the important details, and then the text is spit out by the GPT. Financial and market analysis. So there's different types of analyses that you can do simply by uploading spreadsheets. You can ask it what if scenarios, like does this, if you upload the details of a property and you upload a spreadsheet, you can say fill in from the information on the property all of the questions on the spreadsheet and give me a checklist and let me know if the 100% of the items are green and I have a go signal. A market analysis is also good. You can do, simple types of analysis such as regression analysis or just different types of statistical analysis fairly easily. But you can also have it connect in real time to the internet. And actually, we're going to investigate that a little bit here. Chat GPT versus Perplexity versus Grok and versus Claude. Claude actually does a wonderful job of building up charts over here on the side. I'll show you that in a moment. Versus Gemini. So these are the 5 that we're going to be looking at. Comparable and lease analysis. This is going to require inputs from a broker. So if a broker gives you, or if you have access to Yardi or some other type of commercially available data source, you'll need that. Risk assessment, legal and due diligence documents. I think this is a good use for AI. Project timeline. This might be a good use, but you already have to be experienced, of course, in laying out the project management for a renovation. Marketing plans. AI is great for this. You can generate marketing plans. You can generate social media posts. You can generate Twitter threads or X threads, I guess. Investor presentation materials. There's a site that I've started using out here called Presentation AI, which I kind of like. I'm a little out on whether it's useful or not, but it will allow me to enter in a textual description for each slide of a presentation, and then it'll auto-generate the presentation for me, and then it has an editing environment where you can tweak it. So, for instance, I can go to ChatGPT and say, hey, based on these inputs, generate a series of textual descriptions of a presentation. And then I can take those textual descriptions and throw them into this tool here, and it'll actually create the PowerPoint for me. All right. When I was brainstorming, here are the practical things that I came up with in my workflow that I would like to see. So oftentimes I will receive what are called offering memorandums from commercial real estate brokers. And it'll have a description of a property. It'll have, property's location, how many units are involved, what the square footage is, comparables to other properties, what a potential business plan might be, all those sorts of details. And so being able to take those details and automatically extract them into my own spreadsheet for analysis is one of the first things I'd like to do. And then next, being able to generate a tenant demographic report. This is actually extremely practical if you just want a one page that you can use in order to look around the area. Of course, you're going to need to check this out, double check it with places like, what's this? City data. I think it's citydata.com, and other sites that will actually let you dig in and find locations. Chandler, Arizona, for example. So you can compare the output to websites like this. Generate a marketing plan, go through and interactively do your due diligence report, create a checklist for your DD, generate the input values for your underwriting spreadsheet. So in this case, I can show you a demo of this. You would actually upload a blank template for your underwriting to ChatGPT or another GPT. And you could then upload the broker's OM and some of your own documentation, maybe from city-data, combine that together into a checklist, and mark off the things that are finished, and then make a list of the things that you still need to go look at. Performing your cash flow analysis, exit and long-term value appreciation, creating go, no-go signals for a particular property. This is something I always found to be kind of a pain in the neck, is writing letters of intents to brokers. So when you've gone through and done your full analysis and you've decided I can pay, $8 million for a property, and that should yield a 15% IRR return, or 7.5, the underwriting spreadsheet is supposed to help you with the analysis so that you can come up with your target acquisition price that will yield the return you want your investors to get. And if it doesn't yield that return, then it's something to pass over. But then you have to go and write it up into a letter of intent and send it off to the broker and say, I'm interested in this property. I'm willing to offer this price. I'm willing to put this much earnest money down. Here are the terms. Here's how long due diligence periods should take. They're all very formulaic, and they're just, a pain in the neck to write. So, and then of course, writing newsletters and investor reports. This is an area that is very ripe for AI as well. So I'll pause there. I'm going to look at some of the questions. If you have questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. Skell is asking how to add your own data to a prompt. I'll show you how to do that. In fact, it's super easy. In fact, here's an example. This is a prompt, and here's how you add the data to it. You can just stick variables directly into your prompts. And if you have a variable in your prompt like that, one of the first things it's going to do is ask you, What city and state would you like to evaluate? So I'll show you an example of that in a moment. Are there costs depending on which LLM models? Yes, absolutely. So ChatGPT is $20 a month if you want to use their latest models. For most tasks, the GPT 4.0 is really good. Yesterday, ChatGPT actually introduced ChatGPT Search, and while I was in the middle of creating this presentation, I started realizing that it was footnoting the output and telling me exactly where it received that bit of information, and created basically a bibliographical trail so that if people need to go look up the references, they can. So you could say, I don't know, what's the news in AZ? I don't know, something like that. And it will probably, yeah, here they started putting in footnotes of where they're getting their information from. And so this is a bit of a game changer, because before I thought Perplexity was the best search engine for this, and now I guess Perplexity and ChatGPT are going to be competing on this, as I think most of these uh, LLMs will be in the near future. Yeah, and here's your references. All right. Perplexity also requires a subscription, although you can use it for free for quite a while. I think almost all of them are about $20. Um, X has Grok. You just need to be a certified member of X for that. I think that's $7 a month, and you get access to Grok. Claude's the same thing. Claude is an interesting. The strengths of Claude are that it's a very good GPT in terms of its responses, but it can also create these dynamic charts over here on the side. You can even tell it to create a web-based calculator of some sort. Let's say you want to calculate what the value of a property should be based off of its cap rate. Well, that's a really simple calculation, and you can just come over to Claude and start a project, and let's uh, write a web calculator that finds the price of a property given the cap rate. Let's see what it does. Yep. So it's going to create over here JavaScript. Looks like it's creating React code over here. And once it's done, boom, I've got an NOI calculator. So I can put in, let's say my NOI is 10,000, 100,000, and my cap rate is 0.05. Oh, that's an expensive property. There we go. I might check some of the assumptions there, because this is obviously not an annual NOI if we're coming
I
up with
think
these
you need to
values.
add the calculator as 5%.
Oh, it's 5%. Okay, that's what the problem is. Thank you. But you can see this is super practical, and you can even come up here then and share this. So if you want to send the calculator off to other people, that's something you can do really quickly. And then Gemini is free with your Google account, and there are paid upgrades to it as well if you want to integrate it with um, Gmail or Sheets or any of the Google products. So going back here okay, we went through that. Some really handy tricks that I hope are going to get your creative juices going. First of all, a GPT's output does not have to be English. I can come over here and say to it, let's say I go to my market and rental trend evaluation here, and I click on it, and I say, where would you like me to analyze? And I say, I would like you to analyze Portland, Oregon. and it starts creating a marketing analysis for me on Portland, Oregon. You see how it's now starting to search. This is a new feature for ChatGPT. And it's going to go through and create that. I can then ask it things like take the important, metrics, and you might list them out, convert them into a JSON object that can be emitted out to, a service or an API. So that's one thing to note here. You can control the formats. Second of all, ChatGPT will allow you to send those to a third-party API. There is a functionality called ChatGPT Actions that basically will take the results and allow you to set up API calls with those results. So you could send them off to someplace like Zapier or Zapier. I was in France too long, I guess. Zapier. And Zapier has about 7,000 different products that they can connect you with and for automation creation. So for instance, if you want to be able to, put a flag on your email, if you're in Gmail or some other online email, and have that trigger as a Zapier action, maybe Zapier would then take that email, summarize it, and write it to your Dropbox as a document, a summarized document. Or it might pass it on to, the market trend analysis bot might pass that information on to another GPT which specializes in creating presentations, so that this information could all be put into a nice presentation format in PowerPoint. All right, so let's start. Let me go through the rest of these, and then we'll start going through some exercises. You can create a custom GPT. So this is becoming more and more popular. Claude will let you do this. ChatGPT will let you do this. I imagine that most of them are going to let you do this in the next year or so. And basically what that is if you come over to Explore GPTs, click on My GPTs or Create Your Own GPT, you can come over here, name a GPT. You could say this is my personal calendar assistant. And this assistant will take emails that I mark and read for calendar event information and create a calendar event for me. Well, you can create those sort of things here. You can put in guardrails for them. So the GPT as an information source has a tendency to perform better when you give it guidelines, when you restrict what it's going to be doing. So one example of that here, and I already have this example created, is this tenant demographics analyst. Here it says, you are a tenant demographic analyst, a professional marketing researcher specializing in tenant profiling demographics for multifamily purposes. Provide a detailed analysis of the potential tenant demographic profile for a property located in such and such a place. Your insights will inform rental demand strategies and tenant retention planning. And then here's the structure of the report you want it to generate. I wanted to talk about the population dynamics. What are the trends in population growth, age distribution, household composition? Note any identifiable shifts in behavior in the market. I thought I had added to this perform a job report here, but so I would also want to include here, what are the major jobs that are in the areas? What's the average salary that's in the area? Are median incomes trending upwards? Have those sorts of informations coming in. And the income and affordability analysis, analyze the average income levels and their correlation with rental affordability in the area, and assess the range of affordable rent levels that might cater to the target demographic, and etc. You can see the whole report that's here.
Hey, Daniel.
Yeah.
Did I come up with that structure, or did you actually create that structure?
I actually created a GPT which creates this structure.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, so I will put in kind of in general terms what I want the GPT to do. And in fact, I think ChatGPT now has one. So if you come over to, oh no, I found a third party one that did that. But so the idea is I put in kind of in a paragraph, a couple of sentences, what I want the GPT to do, and it will divide it up into, hey, here's the role, here are the exact steps that you take. Sometimes you have an output template that you want to follow. A lot of times the persona is really important. Are you targeting, high school kids, or are you targeting 50-year-old investors, or are you targeting, whatever your group happens to be? Putting in that persona information to help tailor the output actually makes a huge difference. Which I know is why Intel always was putting up personas for their products and their processes, and you have to know your audience. So yeah. So we've got a couple of them here, and I am going to take this and stick it into 5. In fact, let me go here, open up the chat. Oh, it's going to open up the same tabs. I like to keep it clean here, but okay. So let's put your tenant demographic analyst and your profiling for, where should I do this for? Ooh. I'll do it for San Antonio. I have an operating memorandum that I want to show you from San Antonio. So it's San Antonio, Texas. And I'm going to take this exact text and I will click on it here. And I'll come over to Perplexity, put the exact same thing in over here. We'll stick it on the Pro and explore Grok. Let's see. Here we go. Put it here. And then Claude. I will put the same information in here. And last but not least, although honestly it might be least, Gemini. All right. So let's go back and see what it created here. So we have a report here of San Antonio has seen consistent population growth over the past decade, growing at approximately 2% annually. Okay. Influx from larger metropolitan areas, probably notably California, although it doesn't say that here. We could talk a little bit about age distributions, household composition, and it goes through and gives an overview of, the information that it was able to find on each of these areas. Now, what I would suggest you do is compare that to the other GPTs or compare it to information that you find online. It can be very handy to automatically create these reports, but you still need to sanity check them. Perplexity, I find, actually does a really good job of laying out good statistical information. And in fact, it's my favorite if you're doing, research on a market, because I found it to be quite accurate and does a good job of really pulling out key data. So 24% of the population is under 18, 63% is between 18 and 64. 51% of households are owner occupied, 48.1 are rented. Average household size is 2.62 people. Here's the affordability and rent levels in San Antonio. I would probably dive in a little bit more and ask San Antonio, about the crime in the area. What is the crime like in this area? And you probably should actually flesh this out a whole lot more. Give it specifics, but I'll keep it generic here for the research purpose. Okay, while it's doing that, I'll jump over to Grok.
Hey,
Before you go to
Daniel.
Grok,
Yeah.
quick question for you.
Yeah.
So if you clear this prompt and then you paste it again and run, are you going to get the same answer?
I'm sure parts of it will be different. You should, I mean, it will find different sources online and parse them differently. So you probably will get different answers.
Okay.
And it's really up to you to use these as research starting points, not as definitive guides.
Got you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Daniel, I'm terrified looking at what you're doing because my experience, and I haven't used Perplexity, but just general GPT. I really can't trust this type of stuff. I just can't trust the numbers it's giving me. It makes up stuff way too often.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So One thing you can do, and one thing I suggest is instead of having a textual output like this, I personally would turn it into a JSON object where you just have all the information right there.
But
And then
sorry,
you can
maybe
you
I'm
can
confused.
you can compare it.
Did you
I'm
feed
sorry.
it like? Did you feed it a document that has this information and you're summarizing, or is it just doing
No,
it based
right
on
now
its
it's going
knowledge?
online and finding articles.
Oh, okay.
So it's finding articles, parsing the information from
Yeah.
the articles. You can see the little references it's getting here
Okay.
from articles in the area.
Okay.
And
Then might be
and
more
you
accurate.
absolutely have to go if you do this professionally, you're going to have access to, you know, Yardi or some other professional data source where you can pull a sheet on the area and compare it. You can take, you know, several different GPTs, pull all the data together and compare it. It absolutely should not be relied on 100%. It's to find trends and starting points so that you begin to investigate. For instance, one of the things that I noticed when I was evaluating a property in Tallahassee, and this was during the pandemic, actually. One of the reasons why I liked it is because the jobs that were there, the three largest sectors there were government, education, and healthcare. Three things that did quite well during the pandemic. And so you might be able to find insights like that where, hey, these are the three largest, or these are the three smallest, or go look out for that. Do extra research here. These should only be guides, right? And allow you to, you know, collect your research more efficiently.
Thanks.
I've also found Perplexity, if it doesn't have an answer, it will say, I don't have an answer, which
Good.
kind of gives it the fact that like it's not pulling out anything to give you an answer, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's kind of the whole business model of Perplexity is they want to be a RAG system where it's actually going and collecting data and giving you factual data back. So it's got a method of the whole marketing purpose of this is getting back factual information from the internet, and that's kind of their marketing pitch. That's what separates them.
Daniel, is there a way you can actually ask it to go and look for resources like you mentioned Yardi? Can it actually go and
Well, Yardi is a paid resource,
okay,
so it's not going to be able to pull from there. But you can go to places like Marcus and Millichap. They provide free reports for different areas. So you go down here and grab, you know, Sacramento or whatever the report happens to be. So there are definitely sites that you can get these sort of reports from, and you could start an interactive querying session.
Yeah, maybe you can ask the agent to actually do a comparison between
Absolutely.
what it generated and to
Yeah,
generate a report from this guy.
You can be very creative in how you want to organize your research, and do think of it like a research assistant, not a, you know, a finalizer or a proofreader.
Yeah.
All right, Claude. What did Claude do over here? So San Antonio multifamily tenant demographics. Oh, it's putting together a reasonable report. I might say something like, put this information into a JSON object. Ooh, let's see what it does. All right, great. That's going to make a very nice microservice that I can query if I want to get demographics on a particular area. All right, let's go on here and look at a few more tests. Oh, so the next thing I wanted to introduce you to is the idea of automation. And these aren't the only two automation players in the area, but these are some of the largest. If I go over to make.com here, for instance, and log in. All right. I can see I have, looks like I made up a Calendly integration here. You can create these new scenarios where you say, hey, every time that I get a document put into my Google Drive or a row entered into my Google Sheets, then I want to go over to OpenAI and I want to do a transform text to structure. So I'll come down here I'll create my AI connection. I'll use GPT 4.0. Here's the text I need to parse. I don't know. Tell me a joke. Or, you can go over here and stick this entire GPT in, this entire prompt in right here. Now, keep in mind, this prompt is created in order to interact with the user. So it's not going to be the best in an automation. In an automation, you want it to not have any questions asked to the user, do one small thing, do it well, produce a machine readable output. So, and I just lost my tab. Here it is. But anyway, you can connect these together. Prompt. Text in any format. Okay. So just say English. And you can actually add your own structured data definitions down here if you need particular formats. So I will do that quickly. Parameter name. I'm not going to fill this all out right here. But the idea then would be that you could create another module here and write them out to your Google Sheets or to your Postgres SQL database or to your Amazon DynamoDB database. And that way you can begin building microservices that are automated and create GPTs that create points where artificial intelligence can customize and personalize the business process that you're implementing. All right, another example here. Here's a market and rental trend evaluation, property condition and improvement analysis prompt. How do you create a financial performance cash flow analysis? This is actually kind of an interesting one here. So if I go to Explore GPTs, go to My GPTs, and I want to use my CRE offering memorandum scraper. So this GPT I put together will help me underwrite a property. And then it asks me, if you have an OM, go ahead and upload it. So I say, okay, I'm going to upload. And this is what an OM is, just to let you guys see it here. I'll open it up. Open. So it looks like this. This is a property that I looked at probably last year. So it's no longer available. I'm not breaking anything by showing it to you. But it goes through and it will show, what the purchase price is, what the capitalization is, all the different investor metrics, goes through and shows what the tax exemptions are for it, different types of properties that are like it. And so this is a fairly typical investor presentation. It's not strictly a broker's OM. But let me upload it. Oh, upload it here. And as soon as it's done uploading, I'll hit the go button. And it starts pulling out this information here. The name is Pueblos Commons. It's 76 million. It's got 11% vacancy, built in 2021. And this one will actually pause here and say, what do you want to do next? Do you want to calculate projected cash flows? What are the expected investor returns? One of the reasons why I wanted it to stop is just so that along the way you can do sanity checks with these numbers to make sure that they're correct. So we could say next, we could just say continue. See what it does next. Okay, here's some of the financial information related to it, in particular the debt information, going cap rates. These are all bits of information I specifically asked for it to pull out. Calculate projected returns. This I would probably leave more to the investor presentation. What I think is probably better to do is to pull out these fundamental inputs and have your own spreadsheet model for calculating. But anyway, when you're finally done, you can say, write them to the spreadsheet. Yeah, Perlette, I've really just started using these tools and working them into my workflow. Before I was, paying people to do these things. And in fact, I'm planning on going onto LinkedIn and writing. I think I'm going to commit to 100 days of writing a post on LinkedIn and just talking about how what I'm doing in AI to optimize my business. And I'm hoping to generate a following and kind of a community of people that enjoy automating their business. So now it's given me some underwriting documents here. I only got a few items out of it. This underwriting document it's not really an underwriting document. I just put the inputs here. So you can see it's automatically filled in these inputs. I would then pull the spreadsheet up and just look at each one of these, verify them inside the document, and then my spreadsheet could calculate out the model. So right here, I'll open it up to questions. That is pretty much my initial explorations with using artificial intelligence in my property researching workflows. All right, what do we have here? Do you think AI would be able to do my taxes? No, but a CPA could.
So
Maybe
Daniel,
the CPA is using AI.
You've shown a bunch of services, each costing $20 or so.
Uh-huh.
It adds up, right? The total
Oh, yeah.
cost. Are you still just evaluating and you reduce the number of services you'll subscribe to, or you think
Yeah.
it's really worth paying that much?
No, I'll reduce the number. To be honest, I'm gonna say with ChatGPT, probably X Grok, and I'm on the fence about Perplexity. Perplexity, I think, is the best for pulling out information, but it's really going to depend on building up my workflows and doing a little bit of experimentation into what works best. But yeah, absolutely, you should. And there are services out there now that will actually, for one, like $20 a month price, allow you to choose which of these you can use. I've also experimented with downloading Llama from Facebook and just running it locally on my computer. And that actually has decent results too.
So I'll point out what you probably know is that if you actually use, for example, OpenAI's APIs, it's a lot cheaper than paying $20, but you don't get the nice interface. When I say cheaper, I mean like maybe 100 times cheaper. So
yeah. And in fact, if you want to use an automation tool like this, that's what you have to do. I can go here to my connection and open up my connection, and my API key is right there.
Right.
I draw on my screen here. That's interesting.
And Daniel, you can use such loose language like just create spreadsheet and it'll put it in a spreadsheet, or you have to be more precise?
You've got to be more precise. So if you open up the GPTs that I have, I actually say, when you find the acquisition number, it should be, it should follow these characteristics, and you need to put it onto this particular sheet cell B2.
Got it.
And so you can actually specify where your inputs and outputs go within the spreadsheet. And you can also be more generic and just say, based on what you found, go find the acquisition cell and put it in. But I personally prefer to specify exactly which cell they go into. And then you make those cells editable, and you make the other cells in your spreadsheet not editable. And I tend to also concentrate all the inputs in a spreadsheet onto one tab and have the rest be auto-calculated. So that way you're not inserting information all over the place. You're keeping it organized and tight in one location.
So you did a lot of background work.
Well, I know enough to really start my background work more. And so that's why I'm going to be blogging on LinkedIn about it.
Got it.
All right. How did you create the market analysis GPT? Okay, so there are lots of ways that this could be refined. This is a very simple one. Where is it? Market analysis, but it's just more or less a prompt here. Where you have a role, a goal, current metrics, long-term potential. So yeah, usually providing the stated goal, a role, the steps that you want to go through, the output that you want to put out, the persona, and then any additional instructions is a good starting point for a particular GPT. I hope that stimulated everyone's creative thoughts. That was really the goal of this talk. And fairly soon, if you go over to alternativeinvestingclub.com, we're going to have a community section here, and this will be a forums section. And I'll put a section in the forums for sharing your GPTs and your automations, as well as a lot of other topics if you want to talk about particular operators or, you know, deals that went well or deals that didn't. Just, it's going to be a community forums board. So I guess in the meantime, you know, check out the new website. If you go to a particular person here, you know, you've got a nice place where you can watch on YouTube or Rumble that person's previous talk. I guess I'll end it there unless there are other questions. Eugenio is asking, I'm wondering how one can differentiate after everyone adds AI to their workflow. You know, it's about crafting a customer narrative, in my opinion. You need to figure out what it is you're trying to solve, who needs that problem solved, and then, you know, work to that narrative. But certainly AI is going to be a tool that helps people automate more creative solutions. All right.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one I put in the chat window.
Oh,
So,
I haven't read them all.
oh, that's fine. That's okay. So, which of these LLMs you mentioned are good for a particular type of tasks? Maybe some are good for one, and maybe some are good for the other. Is there one LLM which can be used for all types of tasks? Because you can't, I mean, like for people who are looking to automate, you can't get the subscription for all of them. So how do we pick and choose?
You know, honestly, my favorite is still ChatGPT. I know that there's lots of opinions on that, and there's a lot of reasons to use other GPTs, but probably for overall, you know, capabilities, ChatGPT is a good one.
Okay.
If I had to pay for just one, I would pay for ChatGPT.
Okay. Okay.
So my question is not really what tool are you using for the web page to create your web page?
Alternativeinvestingclub.com?
Yeah.
Oh, it's all written in oh, I don't have the project open. It's all written in React and Tailwind.
Okay.
And I use Next.js as my platform here.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Daniel, this was really, really good. I think you
thank
should
you.
consider recording a couple of sessions which tailor AI use for specific industries and specific uses. You know, for example, creating a new website, or if you're a founder looking for capital, or if you're new in the real estate investing world, right, and you want to look for commercial real estate. Or if you're looking for presentations, right? I think it'd be interesting to create, you know, 3 or 4 presentations targeted at certain uses, right? And then to go over 4 or 5 tools for those particular uses.
It's funny you should say that. I registered the domain Grow Your Business with AI, and I'm planning on doing exactly that.
Oh, really nice domain name.
It's a little long, but at least it gets the point across, right? Let's see if I move over to Gmail, log out here. You don't need to all see my Gmail or any of the weird things that it, yeah, right there. Grow Your Business with AI. I just registered it the other day. Google still hasn't figured out that Amazon was the registrar, so I'm having domain name problems at the moment, but it'll be set up soon. All right, I guess we are done. I'll stick around for a few more minutes, just if anybody has questions. But thank you to everybody, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you, Daniel. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Daniel. That was fun.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you. I'm glad.
Yeah,
Glad it was fun.
Thank you.
Did you chat GPT domain names?
I did, yeah. I said, hey, what are some domain names that I can use to for it? And Yeah, actually, I don't think ChatGPT actually gave me that one. I think that was just one I chose.
Okay.
But yeah, for brainstorming, I've come to like ChatGPT. I'm trying to find where my presentation was. There it is.
Yeah, I think that's what I was thinking is for brainstorming business ideas, how good is ChatGPT for doing that?
It's a good tool for that sort of thing. I mean, you could say, write a list of 30 business ideas that will grow in 2025, that will grown. And and it might be in SaaS.
Mm-hmm.
And most of them you'll probably go, it's okay. Actually, one of the other things to note here is that the O1 preview that uses advanced reasoning, if you have any need to put together a report, this particular model will actually go through, and it takes more reasoning steps, and so it tends to outline things more and then expand on the outline. And so for people like me that like more structure in the data or in the output, it's actually a great option to use.
Yeah, your knowledge and experience and skill in programming and software is amazing. This was awesome.
Oh, thank you. I mean, it's what I did at Intel, right? I actually was a trainer for software at Intel, and so I got to go to product groups and geek around and figure out, well, what is this doing, and then help them turn that into something that was more customer presentable. So we would put together demos and documentation, and I'd run webinars, and I really enjoyed doing it. And what I've realized too is that I enjoy doing that for real estate. I enjoy doing that for AI related products. I probably should be, working and creating a small business where I train people to use AI. And so that's what I'm doing with growyourbusinesswithai.com.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hi there, Daniel.
Yeah,
I'm
hi.
sorry.
I was just going to say super quick. I was with a group of brokers here in Portland, and they were all very good at properties, and none of them knew anything about, AI, and they were all hungry to use it. And that's when I realized there's a market here for helping people do it.
That's what I was going to say. I got to drop off. My name's Terry. I still work at Intel. I suppose you don't work there anymore based on what you just said.
Nope.
But I would love to find a place where I could learn how to use it and access it and become more proficient without like trying to take a class somewhere, like meaning like PCC or Portland State or, like somewhere that's just real hands-on usable. This is how it works and what you do and different ways you can use it. So I'm going to look for you on LinkedIn. Are you on LinkedIn already that I could start following you or something?
Oh yeah.
Okay. I'll look for you. I'll look for you.
Probably what you'll see. It's here's the link to it. But probably what you're going to see a lot of is just me posting, hey, this week in the Alternative Investing Club, we're doing this.
Yeah, no worries.
I'll throw it in the chat.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much. Got to run.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'll stay on for a few more minutes for anybody who wants to ask questions. Or are these all the people that went to go get lunch during the presentation?
So the future topics, is that based on timing for when you want to add it to the fund, or just based on
not necessarily
strictly availability of who's available when?
Yeah, so I try to do a lot of networking, and I will usually meet somebody on Zoom. Oftentimes I will ask them to, hey, I'd like to get to know you better. How about you come record a podcast session with me? And if I like them and I think they've done a good job, I will, at the end of it, say, hey, I've got a group of people on Friday who would be interested in hearing your expertise. And I send them a link where they can book a Friday. And it's completely up to them, whichever Friday they want to book. I use a service called cal.com. Oh, am I sharing? I'm still sharing.
Yeah, you're still sharing. Yeah.
Okay, so you just go to cal.com and I can go to bookings here and you can see, upcoming bookings that I have for this group. So next week we have Lauren Wells. After that, Lauren Wells is going to be talking about industrial, I believe. What is she? So, but anyway, people get booked, into this club based on whoever picks a Friday first gets it. So first come, first served. I send them a link. They can choose their own time. And that's how we do it. And if there ever happens to be a Friday like today where nobody chose this day, then I'll step up and give a presentation.
Which was excellent, by the way. So
thank you.
You should.
Thank you. I quite enjoy doing it, frankly.
Yeah. I don't think I would have joined. Well, I'm always struggling balancing, the good news is I'm still with Intel. The bad news is I'm still with Intel. So, yeah. So my Fridays tend to be one of those things. And so,
sure.
Yeah. So I try to look at your upcoming things.
Yeah. So I was going to, where is it here? I was going to update. So the other place you can find upcoming stuff is here. I was going to update this yesterday, but it was like, well, do I spend time updating this or do I work on my presentation? And I decided the presentation comes first. Oh, that's where those lines come from. It's one of the people in the chat.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, I can't say your name. Our Rumagam?
Yeah.
Anyway. So this afternoon, I'm going to update the rest of the stuff that was booked right here. So I've got a few more to put in. And you'll see it here in the upcoming speaker slot, which is second one down on the page, on the club page.
So, from my past conversations that, I was using the group to try to learn how to quickly execute on a 1031 exchange. And the group helped in some ways, but it really, was handcuffed while it was still part of the Intel aspect. Now I'm curious, now that it's an alternative investment, there are aspects that focus more on 1031 and DST aspects, which I don't think you get from this group, and maybe that you're intentionally steering away from it. But I'm curious if you're wanting to yes, of course. She's the one that I talked to about the.
So you know what, that brokers meeting that I just talked about, she was actually there. I didn't even know she lived in the Portland area, but she was there and she asked to be invited back. I haven't yet sent her the link to do so, but I probably will try to find a different person. If we're going to speak on the same topic, I'm going to find a different person. Although she hasn't been here since September of 2020, which I think is when you originally started talking to her.
Yes, and she was very helpful to deal with the process and the qualified intermediary, but their ability to find investment deals to do quickly, given the constraints of the 1031 exchange requirements.
Sure. You've got 45 days to identify 3 properties and 180 days to buy one.
Right. And so to be able to identify them and get them all locked in. So I guess what I'm getting at is I don't think the qualified intermediary has a good track record in that aspect of helping you get.
Well, and there's probably a good reason for that. Qualified intermediaries usually are not the same as brokers. Exactly. A broker will help you find a property. Qualified intermediate just okay.
I learned that the hard way.
They work together a lot of times.
Well, yes and no.
Okay.
Yes and no. I find that the broker doesn't always like the qualified intermediary because they can slow down things when they want to move faster.
Sure.
And vice versa. And vice versa, right? So the qualified intermediaries sometimes don't like you going to certain brokers because...
Well, I can say this is not, having been in this business for a number of years now, getting lawyers to talk to property managers or lawyers to talk to fund managers or lawyers to talk to banks or banks to talk to whenever I'm trying to get more than one bureaucratic party together.
Yeah.
And that's all a lot of commercial investment is. As the LPs, you've got it very good. You don't have to deal with banks, which are a pain in the neck, frankly.
I believe it. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not surprised. It's not uncommon to have to herd cats when you're trying to get a deal done.
How many in here tie to brokers that specialize in 1031 exchange? Because she's not a broker, or maybe she's become one since then, but she certainly didn't help from the broker side. She only helped on the qualified intermediary side, really.
IPX 1031. I know there's a popular group called IPX.
So are you interested in? I have other brokers, and I
absolutely send me an email.
Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out. If you're, I don't want to waste your time or my time if that's not what you're interested in here. So
doing a talk on 1031 exchanges would be fine.
From the broker,
I don't know if
from the broker's perspective. Yeah.
Right, from a broker's perspective, well, it depends on whether that would be useful to the group or not.
Yes.
It might have a limited. It's probably better to talk more in terms of, single family houses that people are 1031 exchanging or short-term rentals.
And why is that? Because
just because that's what I think this audience would tend to own more of.
Well, you know the audience better than me. That's why I'm having this conversation with you about it. But
there are people. I know there are people in this group doing bigger things than that too. So it's hard to tell.
Yeah. But I really relied on the broker to do the tough work. So they had the relationship with the DSTs and brought deals together that I wasn't even aware of and couldn't find out through this forum. So that's why I'm wondering if there's people that are interested in having more of a list of different things without, you get what I'm saying. So yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
just
thanks, Dan.
I mean, I actually do like the idea of maybe in the community area, or maybe even carving out, another tab up here to say like recommended services.
Something like that.
Community recommended services.
Yeah.
I love that idea.
Awesome.
Okay.
And I think they would value it. So I think there's some, so I think they would love to have our audience for a while to give their, so you know what I mean? I don't want to just give it away for free. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I'm like going, maybe we should be talking from that perspective of like, how do we vet that? And then more and more of the club members can add stars of their time and use of that different services stuff so that we can get a better feel. Because I think there are ways of giving metrics for people, like ratings and things like that help other members take advantage of that brokerage versus another brokerage for doing 1031 exchanges or whatever. So anyway.
Okay. I see Prolette's still on the line. Are you hanging on?
Taking off. Thanks a lot.
All right. Thanks, Brian. Have a great weekend. What's that?
I was just. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Whoever.
No, I was just going to say I was just curious and listening to what people's questions were.
Okay.
I have a great question. Thank you very much first for this presentation. This is really helpful. And my question is like, where do I get to see the recap of all of these videos and all? Because at times I just kind of having your session on the side and working. I'm still at Intel's and working on the side as well. And at times
this would be the first stop to go to, speakers. I don't have all of the videos up here because I need to have good photos and descriptions all linked to everybody. So like if you go click on here, you'll see there's a nice AI generated summary of the video. But go to speakers, alternativeinvestingclub.com speakers. And then if you want to see every video that I have, which is quite a bit more actually, I've got 159 with all the proper metadata, but I think if I go over to YouTube, oh no, I'm going to show everybody the weird things that pop up on YouTube. Let's see. View your channel. Oh, this is my personal channel. Here's all my old stuff with Intel Galileos. Let's go to switch account. Here we go. Alternative Investing Club. And now let's go to my channel. There we go. So here we've got 250 videos.
We can not see your
Yeah,
screen.
I don't think you're sharing.
Oh, I'm not sharing. I'm sorry. Thank you. Okay, so stop number one, alternativeinvestingclub.com/speakers. You can go through here and, you know, click and just see who's spoke here before in the past. You can, oh, here's the guy that I was talking to about Eugenio. This guy came in and talked about buying businesses. But anyway, you can find a lot of them here, either on YouTube or on Rumble. And then the other place you can find them is just going directly to the YouTube page. I'll throw that in the chat too. I tend to upload and link them both on YouTube and Rumble, and then I put all the metadata into the web page.
Okay.
So it's usually on YouTube first. In fact, right now it's live streaming on YouTube.
Okay.
So it's up there. Today's is up on YouTube now, or as soon as I
Thank
hit
you.
stop, it will be.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right.
Have a great weekend. Bye.
Yeah, you too. Have a great weekend.
Mm.
I'll hold on for 1 minute more just to see if anybody has questions.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, Nanosium.
Yeah, I've been struggling with health, so I've missed a lot of things. And as a result, I'm actually getting laid off. I was wondering, are you is there, I know this isn't, or I know the group has non-Intel employees and Intel employees, or soon to be former Intel employees. Might you by any chance be doing any sessions on transitioning out of Intel with regards to finance or anything that people should be aware of if they're being let go with CPM and all that stuff?
You know, I really don't have any special insight there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are probably a lot better people to talk to than me on that, to be honest.
Might you know any or any groups?
I mean, for your 401k, Intel's got people listed, you know, that you can go talk to. Your severance package, when it comes, will pretty much explain it, you know, everything that's happening. Yeah, I don't have any special insight other than just to say good luck. It's hard to get a job out there right now, from what I've heard. It's
No. Very.
It is. Did you say yes or no?
No, I said like very, very difficult, very
Yeah.
difficult. And then so the ghost jobs as well, you know, the fake job listings, which are crazy right now. But yeah, it's your stuff. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I don't have any excellent advice for you.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, I'll just
Sorry.
check in case you might know something. Yeah. Thank you.
Hello, Daniel.
Yes, Joel.
I just wanted to say it was a great presentation. This is the first meeting that I attend.
Oh, welcome.
yeah,
It actually, usually it's not me presenting. I'm usually the moderator, and we usually have, you know, a person who, you know, has a specialty in a particular area.
Oh, okay.
But
I wanted to ask you, this presentation that you have, is there anywhere we can see the presentation on its own? I know you had like a PowerPoint.
Yeah. Just so long as you know that the presentation was only Am I still sharing my screen?
No, I don't think so.
All right. So I say the PowerPoint here. Just so you know that once you get down past about slide 18, I've got all my old slides here from previous presentations.
Okay.
So there's a bunch of stuff down there that may or may not apply, but if you would like to see the presentation, here you go. I'll throw it in the chat.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, so you also have an app for this?
Oh, yeah, for the fund, yes.
Okay.
The fund, if you buy into the Alternative Investing Club fund, there is an app you can download in order to track your investment. It's called
Cool.
NAV. NAV is our fund administrator. They take care of all the accounting and legal reporting requirements, and they provide the user, the investor portal and a web app.
Okay. All right. I also just got the subscription for ChatGPT, the Plus, a couple of days ago. So
congratulations.
I'm excited to use
I
what you're
tend to use
just
it a
showing
lot.
today. Yeah, I've been using it for quite a bit now for different things that I work on, just random things, but it's pretty good, pretty impressive.
What I've realized is I've tended to use it kind of for small things here and there.
Yeah.
But I think if you really learn how to use it effectively, it becomes a far more powerful tool.
Yeah, I think
you
with
sit
this
down and make workflows and
yeah,
learn how to craft a prompt better and start storing your prompts and saving them and growing them.
Yeah. But thank you for the presentation.
Thank you.
Hey, Daniel, there was a gentleman who was asking for some help on thinking, deciding on the CPM and other things. There is a club out of Folsom that you may be able to access from outside Intel. It's called themoneymattersclub.com.
Yeah, Money Matters was around when I was there.
Do you have a link to it?
Just to www.themoneymattersclub.com, because I'm on a phone, so I can't type that quickly.
Is it publicly available? I thought it was
Yes,
only
it's
internal.
publicly. No, I think the person who used to run it, she actually left Intel last year.
Oh, she
and
did the same thing I did, huh?
Yeah, exactly, same thing. And she kind of put everything out there. So, there's no Intel specific stuff, but I think she talks about what experience was going through the voluntary retirement last year and what things that she had to take care of and things like that.
All right.
Is that it?
Money Matters?
The Money Matters Club.
The Money Matters
Mattersclub.com.
See if that pops up. If it doesn't, I will. There we go. Looks very Intel-like.
Yes, yeah, that's the one. Yep, you got it.
The Money Matters Club. Okay, great. Blog, event calendar. Here we go. All right. Anybody else have questions before I drop off? You all have a wonderful. Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I just want to thank you, man. I've been here multiple times, picking nuggets from you on real estate and now on this AI. Just want to say that you are a real good Samaritan. So thank you.
Thank you. You say you've been here twice?
I've been multiple times. Just every Friday, I just show up for 10, 20 minutes and then start looking. I'm like, okay, it's interesting. So I really appreciate all the help and refreshing and all this stuff on the AI, incredible. In an hour, everybody had a glance of everything. What's going on? It's shocking, the change and how much you can achieve with AI. So yeah, really good. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I have to give as much as I can.
That's the phrase of a good Samaritan. There you go. Yeah, thank you.
All right. I'll see you guys later unless somebody stops me right now.
Yes, Daniel. My name is Philip. I've been listening to your and of course this is yours, but other one of the presenters you've been bringing very useful
I'm having trouble understanding you.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes, it's kind of garbled a little. I'm not sure.
I
Go
don't know.
ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. So anyway, so pretty useful information. I've been listening. I'm very recent addition to your Friday meetings, but I wanted to connect with you offline and talk to you real soon here. So I'll touch base with you after the meeting.
Well, here, let me give you the link to set up a time on my calendar then.
Sure.
I'm throwing it into the chat. Just cal.com/DanielHomlin/30min. Or if you want a 15 min, I can send that to you too.
Okay, yeah, it works. So yeah.
Here's the 15 min.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
Yep.